Well, hello folks, this is Matthew, the Manure Kiwi. This is the Manure Kiwi podcast. And yes, we're going to be talking about Poise Parker, what just happened 3 days ago, folks. And yes, it is definitely not a pretty sight. And I'm going to be going through the videos why. And I wish I don't have to be covering videos like that. But it's like it's got to be done. But the longer I seem to be waiting, the more it seems to be coming out. That's the thing. And people, I like to keep my podcast short though, so you people don't have to spend as much time watching me. So you can get on with other things in your life. That's the idea to keeping this podcast short. So any further ado, let's just get into it. And yes,
hey everyone, welcome back to
starting with this fella here. Yeah, from Storybox though, he really covers some good stuff, folks. So probably after this video, I recommend you probably should go and check out what he's got to say, because he really covers some good topics about what just happened. I'm just going to go through parts of the video, then I'm just going to just leave it from here.
Show you pretty much more of the reality of what actually transpired, because these trans activists went all out. They did not stop one bit. They even went as far as abusing elderly people.
Did they really go that far? We'll find out.
And there is video evidence to support these claims that the mainstream media won't actually report on. Why won't they report on it, I wonder? Because it doesn't fit this transgender ideology narrative that even the mainstream media is trying to push. It is absolutely ridiculous. Women are fed up about it. They don't want men coming into their bathrooms.
Yeah, I don't blame them. And men shouldn't be going to women's bathroom in the first place. Yeah. And that's also the same when women going to men's bathroom. Yeah. That's why we have bathroom for each gender. For very good reason.
Or even the female locker rooms. They don't want men competing in sports.
Well, they don't want men competing in the women's sports. Yeah. One thing he forgot to put on, woman, before sports. Because, yeah, there's a reason why, when it comes to sports, that's why they have separate for each gender. Because they know men are going to outperform the woman. That's why there's a sports for men and also a sports for women. And what just happening? Yeah, because the men are trying to identify themselves as women, just so they can get into women's sports. It's just no.
That's what it is. The trans activists and the trans community say, no, we have a right to do that. No, you don't have a right to do that at all. You are making up a false reality. You are protesting for no reason whatsoever. You are subduing women.
Exactly. And they also are subduing men as well. Yeah, and because the idea of feminists is just to break up the family. That's what it is. So now it's time that we move on. Well, let's go back. We're going to skip that part there.
Bridge was there.
Chaos in the park.
Yes, and it looks like it's water being thrown at her.
Differences of opinion descending into riotous scenes in downtown Auckland. Poise Parker didn't get a lot of speaking at her Let Women Speak event. Difficult to do that when you're met with this.
Of course. Oh,
initially, there was plenty of support for the British anti-trans activist.
Well, I've come to support women and the protection of women's safe spaces, to put it simply.
So my darling granddaughters can have their space in changing rooms and toilets
But this
Yeah, that's like what just that lady just said. You can also just pause it on my video so you can get what she was trying to say.
stop on Parker's tour was doomed before it started. As she arrived, so did the masses and the noise.
Yeah, and the noise was there to prevent her from speaking, is to silence her. That's what communists really do. Before we get to that though, I'm gonna show and that's earlier on. See, as she was giving that lady a hug, this fella poured that on that lady. Just stopped her just as that fella did that. Oh my goodness. Yeah, and she was just giving that lady a hug, and that's good. Hugs are awesome. Until, yeah, pour that on her head, crying out loud. And the security went to going to do her, that fella there, yeah. Go away. Don't want that. And then that thing come out there. Just sometimes start to come out for no reason. Yeah. Just see it. Just let on then. Police finally helped her out. And I don't know why they weren't here earlier.
British anti-trans activist Kellie-Jay Keen, also known as Poise Parker, was rushed from Albert Park today after a planned public speaking event was derailed by pro-trans counter-protesters.
She was silenced. Yeah. And why weren't they there earlier? That's the question. Because when there's a protest, police were always present. That's the thing. We're always present.
Keen Minshall, whose recent Melbourne speaking event was attended by neo-Nazis, was supported by a very small number of anti-trans protesters. The rotunda in Tamaki Makoto's Albert Park was surrounded by thousands of counter-protesters who blew whistles and beat homemade drums to drown out what many label hate speech from the British activist.
Oh, yeah. Hate speech. Of course. They don't like what she's got to say. They just don't like it. It's just they don't want her speaking at all. Talk about denying her right to speak. That's what they really are.
For the second week in a row, those rallies organised by activist Kellie-Jay Keen have descended into chaos. Last weekend, of course, in Melbourne, three groups converged. The women's rights activists, the trans activists, very disturbingly, of course, those uninvited neo-Nazis. Her tour then continued.
Oh, right. May have got it on. Oh, it's on audio. That's why.
She went down to Tasmania. It seemed it went okay down.
Yeah, it seems okay when she went down to Tasmania.
there, then across to New Zealand, and that's where the real trouble started. I mean, it was supposed to be a tour. It's called Let Women Speak, but she was forced to call off the Auckland event because protests were deemed unsafe. She was doused in soup, attacked by an angry mob. She subsequently cancelled the rest of her stops, citing safety concerns, and has now fled New Zealand, labelling the country the worst place for women I've ever visited, and they live there.
Yeah, it's like one of the most misogynistic thing ever occurred. For crying out loud, because you can't even define what a woman really is. You can't even define what a man really is without getting mauled by those mobs. For crying out loud. Yeah, of course, Brian Tanaki, I'm gonna try and get there, but yeah. And let's see what those folks got to say. And yeah.
Can I ask why you've come here today?
Because I'm a good person.
Because I'm a good person. Well, if you're a good person, you wouldn't like give her the right for her to speak. Because good people allow debates. That's the question. That's the answer. They allow debates. Well, communists, leftists don't. So I don't think she's a good person. Because otherwise, she would allow the debates.
Because I'm a good person.
To protect my trans brothers and sisters from people like this. Get out of New Zealand with these people. They don't belong here. Trans people belong everywhere. Fascists don't.
Well, fascists silence speech, and you are doing what the fascists did, silencing their opponents. So, and New Zealand has become a fascistic state. So, if you sort of don't like fascism, why you ain't speaking about what's occurring over in the parliament with what the government's really doing? And I think that's all I gotta really say about this though, and well, yeah. It is diabolical, folks. And let's see what Chris Luxon's got to say about this.
In Auckland tomorrow, a controversial anti-trans activist coming to speak on that. There's been a debate around whether she should be allowed in the country, whether her visa should be blocked. Do you think she should be allowed in?
Well, look, we live in a liberal democracy, and it's really important that we have free speech, and that means that we have to defend people's right to free speech even if we disagree strongly with what they're saying. And so, you know, the great thing about free speech and the best thing that can happen is that someone puts a counter view to those arguments as well, and that's exactly what should happen in a liberal democracy. So, you know, I may not like her comments, but the reality is that, you know, free speech is really important in our democracy, and it's a high bar to ban someone in that regard.
Will you be going to any of the events,
No, I
either the
won't
counter-protest or... No? None
No,
at
I
all?
won't be. No.
And just lastly, do you support the rights of New Zealand transgender people?
Absolutely. Yeah, we want New Zealand to be a place where you can safely express your sexuality and your identity without any persecution, without any problems with that. We want every New Zealander to be who they are and to be able to express who they are freely.
What concerns do you have with Poise Parker?
But are you fine with men going into women's bathroom? Are you fine with that? Me, I'm not. And if you ask a woman, are you fine with men going to the bathroom? Of course they would say the answer no. But the trans is like, but I identify myself as a woman. just so senile though.
Parker coming to New Zealand to speak.
Yeah, and the same thing that also happened to 5 years ago when Lawrence Sutton and Stefan Nono were going to speak in New Zealand. They were, and their conference were cancelled because there was like some threats being made there, and I'm going to go there now.
Yeah, in this video, Patrick Gower interviews Lauren Southern and Stefan Molyneux. I think it's quite interesting because it really exposes Patrick Gower for the stupid left-wing buffoon he is.
Well, what people say is hate speech is when you say that diversity is a weakness.
Right, and
There's the first stupid thing he says. She says diversity is a weakness, and somehow he construes that as hate speech. Try and figure that one out.
the suffragettes would have been considered against the modern status quo at the time. Individuals who criticized Christianity hundreds of years ago would have been prosecuted under blasphemy laws.
Yep, Lauren Sutton had just nailed it. Because 100 years ago, if you saw like try to criticize Christianity, you're being deemed blaspheming. Yep, blaspheming. And that's what the same thing what those trans activists were referring. Yep. What they were referring. If you saw like go against the grain, you are deemed for hate. And same thing with this. That is similar to the blasphemy law. Very similar. Because blasphemy law just saw how to protect the religion from criticism.
I now criticize the religion of diversity, and I'm considered committing hate speech because that is the popular culture at the time.
Well, what I say to you, Lauren Southern, is that New Zealand is a diverse country. You say diversity is a weakness. This country is known as a melting pot.
Sorry, Patrick. We don't have a melting pot. We have multiculturalism. For a melting pot to exist, you must have a policy of assimilation. And we don't have that. We have multiculturalism.
Yeah, and that how is that turning out to be? Well, folks, according to Rebel News here, oh come on. Yeah, according to Rebel News, the trans violence against women speaks call for New Zealand travel boycott. Yeah, I can agree. Although I do live in the country, folks. I do live in the country. New Zealand, and the woman rights activist Kellie-Jay Keen was forced to flee New Zealand after a violent reputation to an event in Auckland on Saturday, sparking a wave of negative attention on social media and called for visitors to boycott the country. Yeah, I can agree, because we want things to get better though in New Zealand. And I don't recommend that people should come to this country until things gets better. Because what that's going to do to the tourist industry though, yeah, New Zealand is absolutely dead. Freedom of speech is absolutely dead here in New Zealand. For once, the country that is beautiful, and yeah, and you can speak your mind way back then though. Now all those good things are now gone in this country. It's now gone. Yeah. Folks, man, I actually have made blogs earlier on though, and I also think about leaving this country, because I know, because folks, there's only so much you can do, and with this woke chaos, woke insanity and chaos, folks, it is just, man, why people want to remain in this country, especially they know any people who still got some common sense in that. If you want to stay, that's fine. But me, I'm also making. I have a decision I'll make. I'm about almost 38 years old, and And I'm like, still don't have a wife. I don't have any children. And also I've been thinking about the same thing. Also visiting other countries, so I have a better chance of getting a woman or so. I've been thinking about that for at least 6 years, and I sort of find out, hey, maybe I need to go to other countries, cause man, I might have to do another video about pull and push factors as well. Because this video is just going to be me rumbling about those. So, well folks, I'm going to just leave it here folks. I hope you got something out of the video. And do put in your comments. Do comment down below what you think about it though. And if you got any information though, do let me know in the comment below. And so I can look it up myself. And that's all I gotta say for now. I'll say people, let's talk to each other. And let's get together, let's talk to each other, let's share ideas, and let's bring into protest, and let's build great things so we can bring humankind to the next deal. I've been saying that for how many years, still doesn't seem to stick on to the New Zealand people. They don't seem to be wanting to chat with me. So that's all I gotta say for now. And this is Matthew, the Millennial Kiwi, signing off, over and out.